Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Sotiropoulos, CEO of Global Opportunities Commercialisation, an advisory firm out of Melbourne, Australia, that assists organisations reach their potential, be it startups, governments, corporations, or individuals. So I will share my screen now to discuss and bring to the fore some aspects of the global economy. The global ecosystem. What we can see on this slide is it's very busy. You can see lots of activity. You can see countries around the world. That is the global ecosystem. What is an ecosystem? It's the environment with which we play. And in commercialization, we think the future, which is here, is that when you have a company or a startup and you're seeking to grow rather than growing within your city or country, you need to, from day one, think about, how am I going to reach the world? Why is there other facilities available that may enable me to maximize revenue and sales and growth based on a bigger ecosystem? So what are the elements that we look at? It's fast moving, and Sebastian, just prior to our session today, was talking about that. There's a lot happening. We had the Trump-Biden election. We've got COVID. We've got geopolitical matters. You've got stagnation in funding and economic activity. There are environments where commercial businesses and social enterprises are now merging. We see that with the World Economic Forum. We see the environment becoming to play. We see different levels of increased access to funds and lifestyle across developing countries. These are fast moving. When you're observing and managing an ecosystem, you have to be very good at observation. What are the key factors that drive particular innovative policies in India? What's happening with Germany, Singapore, South Korea, Australia, South Africa, Nigeria, Poland, and Belgium? All very different dynamics, but without observing that, you get yourself in trouble, because that way you are able to amplify the 10 times, 100 times return. Being networked, what does that mean? Well, we know what networking means. We know that if I know someone, that's a network, but that's not where the end of the network operates. It's, for example, person me knows person X, but person X knows person Y and person Z. I might need to get to person Z. How do I get to person Z? That's what being networked is about. You don't know in this commercialization space what technologies or what configurations of a product will work, but you need to be networked, because you might need to get access to 10 or 12 or 15 countries within a week. Now, how do you possibly do that? Being networked, spending time, leveraging relationships, which takes me to the next point, trusted intermediaries. We saw this with COVID. What an unusual time. When I used to do deals, I'd hop on a plane, I'd meet people on the other side of the table, see their factories, meet their staff, meet their kids, meet their families. They'd come over to Australia. Same story, deal will be done. You move forward confidently. Well, what happens with COVID? You can't do that. But people still want to transact. So how does that happen? Well, we do that through trusted intermediaries that we know that can vouch for us, and they can vouch for the party on the table, at the other side of the business table. Deals are being done through Zoom and other platforms, which were unheard of 2 years ago, through trusted intermediaries. Now, of course, what'll happen, because we're all humans, at the end of this COVID business, we'll hop on a plane, we'll meet each other, families, do all the stuff we did in order to solidify that relationship. Supply chain connectivity. In commercialization, as we all know, there's different levels of commercialization. There are different parties. There's the developers, the funders, there's the Series A, Series B, there's the executives, there's the customers, advisory boards, manufacturing sources, regulatory people. They are parts of a supply chain. Logistics, parts of a supply chain. Our role in the global ecosystem is to understand what the various buckets are and to have relationships sufficient enough for us to understand what are the key factors, key terms, key trends. So supply chain connectivity is critical. And that's a wonderful thing about this Mainstage Summit. We are meeting many people from different aspects of the supply chain. We are developing networks. That's why this conference or summit oozes global ecosystem. Now, in this slide, we've got some of those intuitions which we build up over time. The X factor or the seventh sense. How do we know whether this technology is hot? Do you have a good feeling for the leadership? Maybe the leadership's great, but the technology's not. It's much better to do it that way rather than the other way around. So getting a feel for what's hot is really important, for what's emerging as well. Are there strategic priorities of a nation, of a continent? What are they? How can I find that out? Through my networks or trusted intermediaries. That gives you that competitive edge. Diversity in team is really important. Now, we hear diversity is important, but you know what? We do things a bit differently. We have in our team 3 generations: the young, the sort of my lot, the middle, and the seniors who bring lots of wisdom. The young bring lots of energy, but each of those 3 generations know their market really well. I couldn't profess to know what the young ones are doing. I have no idea. I think I do, but that's not good enough. We now tap into that and we ask them to take leadership into projects which impact on their ecosystem. Diversity in risk-taking. Well, risk-taking in commercialization is par of the course. You've got to know to say, well, listen, I think that'll work in that market, that'll work in that market. It needs to be repackaged, reconfigured. So you have to have built into your DNA and systems a bit of risk-taking. Now, I'm not saying that's 80% of your business. It could be 30% of your business. So for us, it's probably 30 to 40 because we love the fun of the ecosystem and taking risks and building things that no one else is going to build. So we're speaking to different groups that have cluster environments. Mainstage is a prime example, where they bring a whole stack of relationships, we bring relationships, and then there are other groups out there. If we get all together, we have access to almost 50,000 people in different parts of the supply chain. That is power and information which can quite literally lead to significant scaling up. So now I'm very pleased to hand over to Pedro and the rest of our esteemed panel to tell us their thoughts and experiences in the ecosystem, how it works for them, and how we can help you, the customer, achieve your 10 times X or 100 times X, which I'm confident we can do as a collective.